Motrolix.
The crew at Metrolix and GMAuthority.com has been waiting for today for a while. And that's because today Chevy has finally revealed the 2024 Silverado HD ZR2 as well as the Silverado HD ZR2 Bison. Now, some of you may recall that way back in March of 2022, that's over a year ago at this point, GMAuthority.com was the first to report that GM was planning to bring a ZR2 version of the Silverado HD to market. We then got a bunch of spy shots. In fact, on more than one occasion did we get spy shots. And now we finally have the complete details about the truck. Dear friends, before I continue, if you like what you see here, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us tremendously to continue making more videos like this one. Okay, with that out of the way, the Silverado HD ZR2 is Chevy's flagship heavy-duty off-roader. The addition of the Silverado HD ZR2 to the lineup represents the third ZR2 Chevy truck. It all started, as some of you may recall, it all started with the Colorado ZR2. Then the Silverado 1500 got the ZR2 treatment, and now it's Silverado HD's turn. Chevy says that the Silverado HD ZR2 brings race-proven technologies and enhanced off-road capability to the 2024 Silverado HD lineup. Now, if you recall, the Silverado HD received a thorough refresh for the 2024 model year, bringing a new front fascia, an overhauled interior, and improvements in powertrains as well as capability. Now, the Silverado HD ZR2 enjoys all of those updates that were part of the refresh, and then it builds on them to deliver a truck that can handle it all, whether it's crawling trails, tackling tough terrain, or towing adventure toys on the weekend, all without sacrificing on-road comfort or heavy-duty truck capability. The Silverado HD ZR2 and the ZR2 Bison are offered exclusively in the 2500 crew cab configuration, so let's take a look at the ZR2 first. Starting on the outside, the Silverado HD ZR2 is pretty easy to recognize thanks to really a few things. First, the ZR2 family grille with Chevy's flow tie emblem. It has that red inline that all of the current ZR2 trucks have. There's also, the obvious things, ZR2 badging at the front, within the front grille. There's also unique wheel opening moldings with integrated mudguards, but beyond that, you'll probably recognize a Silverado HD ZR2 just by its sheer size. So the front and the rear feature a 1.5-inch suspension lift over other Silverado HD four-wheel drive models. On the chassis side, the Silverado HD ZR2 features specific front upper and lower control arms and specific steering knuckles. There's also the signature Multimatic DSSV dampers that have really become a hallmark of Chevy ZR2 trucks. There is also a larger steel transfer case skid plate and front aluminum skid plate, as well as 35-inch Goodyear Wrangler Territory mud terrain tires wrapping a set of 18 by 9-inch aluminum wheels. All of that results in a ground clearance of 11.6 inches, an approach angle of 32.5 degrees, a departure angle of 25.7 degrees, and a 21.2 degree breakover angle. So not bad for a really big HD truck. There is also a rear e-locker, but, and here's the big surprise, Chevy did not give the Silverado HD ZR2 a front e-locker. Now, I will tell you why it doesn't get a front e-locker, at least Chevy's version, as to why the Silverado HD ZR2 doesn't get the front e-locker. But to tell you about that, I'll first have to tell you about the off-road mode. So the Silverado HD ZR2 includes a new off-road mode. When engaged, this mode adjusts all kinds of vehicle calibrations like the anti-lock brakes, traction control, and stability control. All are optimized for performance off-road driving. In addition to that, the off-road mode alters throttle progression and transmission shift patterns, and the locking rear axle does not have a speed limitation in this mode. Now, Chevy says that on the Silverado HD ZR2, The off-road mode incorporates learnings from the Colorado ZR2 and the Silverado 1500 ZR2. And that brings me to the topic of the lack of the front e-locker. Now, engineers explained the decision to not include a front e-locker by saying that they didn't want to add the additional mass and all the necessary changes that would have been required for an additional locker at the front. Engineers claim that the Silverado HD ZR2 gets most of the traction benefits that would have typically been brought about by the inclusion of a front e-locker only by using stability control. So make of that what you will. I know that a lot of you will think, well, that's just a lot of language that is really meant to tiptoe around the fact that they're really, saving money, cutting costs, what have you. I don't know if that's the case. I would, really have to drive one to really understand whether or not this is actually a cost-cutting measure or whether, they're actually onto something here. Just by using the stability control, they can, essentially deliver the performance equivalent, or at least the majority of the performance of what a front e-locker would do. The powertrain story of the Silverado HD ZR2 does not change from the non-ZR2 trucks. So that means that the 6.6 liter V8 gasoline engine, that's production code L8T, it is rated at 401 horsepower and 464 pound-feet of torque. That engine is standard, while the Duramax 6.6 liter V8 turbo diesel, that is production code or RPO code L5P, that is optional, and it is rated at 470 horsepower and 975 pound-feet of torque. Note that the horsepower and torque ratings are higher by 25 horsepower and 65 pound-feet of torque for the 2024 model year compared to the pre-refresh 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023 models. Both engines mate to GM's 10-speed 10L1000 automatic transmission that is Allison branded, and that is an upgrade for the gasoline engine for the 2024 model year, which for the prior pre-refresh model years was connected to a 6-speed automatic transmission. As for capability, the max payload for the Silverado HD ZR2 is 3,397 pounds, so that's almost 3,400 pounds with the gasoline engine, and the max tow rating is 18,500 pounds with the turbo diesel Duramax. You can find the complete specs at the link in the description to this video or by simply going to gmauthority.com. All right, so that's the Silverado HD ZR2, and so that will give us the ability to talk about the Silverado HD ZR2 Bison, which takes things to the next level. Like all other ZR2 Bison models, including the Colorado and Silverado 1500, the Silverado HD ZR2 Bison was developed in collaboration with American Expedition Vehicles, or AEV, and the goal of that collaboration is really to provide a product that is from the factory, ready for the most avid off-roaders. It builds on the HD ZR2's standard features by adding a few components. First, a set of exclusive gloss black 18-inch AEV wheels. There's also a distinctive cut-high approach stamped steel front bumper with integrated recovery points and winch provisions, a unique stamped steel cut rear bumper with recovery points, and finally, tough stamped steel underbody skid plates at the front of the truck, steering rack, exhaust, as well as for the transfer case. The Bison also receives unique exterior badging, as you might expect. Ground clearance for the Bison is 11.8 inches, which is 0.2 inches higher or more than the regular Silverado HD ZR2. And it's ironic that I say regular Silverado HD ZR2 because the regular Silverado HD ZR2 is already a beast. So it's almost like, the Bison is a more beastly version of the beast, which is really, the whole point. The approach angle for the Bison is 29.8 degrees. That compares to 32.5 degrees for the ZR2. The departure angle for the Bison is 25.7 degrees. That's the same as for the ZR2. and the breakover angle for the Bison is 22.6 degrees. That compares to 21.2 degrees for the ZR2. All right, now let's move to the cabin, where the Silverado HD ZR2 benefits from the overhauled interior that was introduced for the 2024 model year Silverado HD. That's right, in case you haven't heard yet, the 2024 Silverado HD gets a whole new cockpit for LT models, LT trims, and above. And that should satisfy those of you who cried all about the interiors of the 20, 21, 22, and 23 models. You know, who everyone made it's such a big deal. It's the worst interior, you've got to change the interior. Look at that horrible interior. The trucks still sold like hotcakes. The people who bought them loved them. But okay, to appease those of you who didn't think that the interiors were up to snuff, Chevy did introduce a whole new cockpit for LT models and above for the 2024 model year refresh. And you know what? The Silverado HD ZR2 and the Silverado HD ZR2 Bison both enjoy the updates that were made to the interiors. Now, Chevy says that the new interior merges high levels of functionality and technology while adding various premium materials. If you know the interior of the Silverado 1500 ZR2, then the interior of the Silverado HD ZR2 should probably be very familiar, with jet black and graystone leather seats and dark trim accents. Chevy says that it took special care to select materials that are, quote, simple to wipe clean after a day in the dirt, end quote. That's just great, in my opinion. Here's to hoping that those who buy this truck will actually, take the truck to see some dirt in the real world, and not keep them as pavement queens. But okay, enough of that. Let's now check the tech. The Silverado HD ZR2 and ZR2 Bison get a 12.3-inch configurable gauge cluster, aka the Driver Information Center, or DIC. They also get a 13.4-inch diagonal infotainment screen, which is canted toward the driver, creating that kind of more cockpit-like feel. A 15-inch head-up display is optional, and it features an off-road inclinometer. Also optional is an HD surround vision system. Other noteworthy features about the cabin are a redesigned wireless phone charger. That's actually a big deal because to those who did complain about the cabins of the pre-refresh models, the wireless phone charger in those models didn't really work all that well. So this, in my opinion, is actually a welcome change. And there's also a flow under console that Chevy says offers kind of the spaciousness of a bench seat while still retaining the functionality of a center console. The Bison's interior is the same as that of the Silverado HD ZR2, but it adds the AEV logo to the front seat headrests. Production of the 2024 Silverado HD ZR2 and ZR2 Bison is slated to start late summer at the GM Flint assembly plant in Michigan, and that brings me to pricing, which, surprise, pricing will be announced closer to the start of production, but I would expect these trucks to not be cheap. And what I mean by that is, given that the current Silverado 1500 ZR2 starts at above the high country trim, so the ZR2 1500 starts at roughly the $74,000 mark, I would expect that the HD variants will be at least $10,000 more expensive. So, a starting price in the $85,000 range, yeah, I can see that. I think that's reasonable. So not cheap by any stretch, but you do get a whole bunch of content and really the biggest truck that money can buy from Chevrolet. So with the Silverado HD getting the ZR2 treatment, the ZR2 family is now complete. And in my opinion, it makes for an interesting rival to the Ford Super Duty Tremor and the Ram Power Wagon. Next up on the reveal list is GMC's Sierra HD AT4X, which will be, of course, GMC's equivalent, not a direct equivalent, but suspension wise and feature, some content wise, an equivalent to the Silverado HD ZR2. And we expect the Sierra HD AT4X to also have a Bison equivalent. That one will probably likely be called the Sierra HD AT4X AEV edition. And we expect both of those models to debut in the next few weeks. More as we have it. Alex Luft for Motrolix and GMAuthority.com.
Motrolix.